Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Spotlight series. Today, I am joined by Stan Mallow. Was the host for 7th season, the host of the Paranormal show on TV, COGECO in Canada. That's a very long acronym, and I'm probably not saying it correctly. Amongst the hundreds of guests who came on to promote their books, movies, workshops, tours, organizations, services, and other endeavors were several well-known figures, which we're going to get into. He hosts his own YouTube channel and is a host of Paranormal Yacker, which is a really cool show. I recommend everyone to check out. It's a show that has gained a loyal international following. It's attracted a guest of who's from the paranormal and metaphysical worlds. Each weekly episode finds some yakking with different person of note of their respective field. And he really covers any type of metaphysical topic. I feel like anything and everything come to metaphysical Stan is aware of. Stan, thank you so much for coming on today. I'm so happy you're here.
Pleasure to be invited, pleasure to be a guest. And COGE, so is Cochico.
Kojiko, I knew I was saying it wrong. He's like, oh gosh, Rachel. Kojiko. All right, that is so cool. So let's get into this topic. So Stan, you've had a diverse career that includes working with A-list celebrities and Broadway shows, as well as dabbling into the paranormal realm. Could you share with us how your background in PR led to you to explore the world of the unexplained and eventually becoming the host for the shows of the Paranormal Show and the Paranormal Yacker?
That is a great question. And I'll try to give you a Reader's Digest version answer of it. Okay, I was, ever since I could remember, being intuitive, having, instincts, gut feelings, sixth sense, psychic abilities. It's all the same thing as far as I'm concerned with that. And I realized at an early age, when I was in university, I was a member of Playwrights, a theater group there. What interested me most was not being on stage, but behind the stage, getting the people come to see the show. And so that was a natural for me. And after serving in the armed forces in the US, I was bucked out at a very early age to be one of the top PR companies around. And once people in show business find out that you're sort of intuitive, and I was doing tarot readings just for the fun of it, if you want to call it that way, there, I find myself getting invited left and right to different parties with different celebrities. And then I'm having people on the who's who list asking me, should I record this song or that song? Should I do that movie or that movie? So it was all pretty good. I mean, it was like incredible. It's only in retrospect, now that I'm a bit older, when you look at things in retrospect, gee whiz, that was real. It's almost like a dream, but it happened. So I got into the psychic world really from the back door instead of the front door, if you will. And then more and more people get asking me about things related towards the paranormal and going there. And I'm always fascinated, as you said on my show, I've always been interested in all aspects of the paranormal, whatever it is. And so that's how I kept going on in there with it. And then having had an experience of having a massive heart attack, passing over to the other side, knowing there is indeed another side, which blends with your spiritual things that you're doing there. And then I got myself involved in other things, learning more, looking for spirits or photography, which I found to be incredible, picking up spirits from the other side. So to answer your question, it's always been part of me, but circumstance dictated I go further with it.
When you were young and you were having these intuitive experiences and these psychic moments, did you find that you were kind of alone in those experiences, or did you have support of your family and friends to help guide you through it?
That's a very good question again. And the truth be told, I didn't share anything with anybody with that. It just was, and you sort of learn it until you realize with certain people you could say something, others may not understand. You don't say it, but what is probably most difficult for an intuitive, and you probably found this yourself, when, say, you're at a party or somewhere and there's somebody you really don't know, and you're picking something up about them that you want to forewarn them, you have to think twice about that. Who the heck are you to say blah, 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 that? So you get in conversations, see if there's something, and to say something or not to say it. But it is really very frustrating when you feel strongly about something.
Mm.
You know that you're right, but sometimes things just got to go the way they go. And maybe that's how it should be. Maybe people have to go through certain things on their own. I don't know.
No, I think that's a very valid answer because, there's consent and there's some things that there's lessons that people need to learn and there's paths that they need to go on. And perhaps if we share something, it may deter them from where they're really supposed to be going. I mean, that's an interesting thing for sure. Interesting.
We
So,
agree.
and I do want to mention that some of his A-list clients were Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton, and Warren Beatty, which I would imagine you have some very cool stories about that.
Yes, I
Fun to
do.
share.
And that just named a few of them with that, but that is something I don't share.
I know I'm not even asking. I'm just like, I just
Sure.
want people to know, like,
Yes.
that's
Like I
amazing.
said, I was just so lucky. And you have to realize with a lot of people that, you see them, you read about them,
Yeah.
in the papers, and what you read and what really is two different things.
It's got to be so interesting to be able to, like you said, to kind of maybe take a bird's eye view of where you were to where you are now and all the experiences and the journeys that you've had. It's fascinating.
Sure, like
So,
if you ever see any interviews with Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton,
yeah.
he always refers to her as Elizabeth, never Liz. And one thing I knew for sure, and most of the headlines were in the paper with her, Liz Taylor this, Liz Taylor that. She did not like being called Liz. It was Elizabeth.
Wow. And you gave her that respect. I love that.
Indeed, as I should, as everybody
Absolutely.
should.
Absolutely. Like, I'm not a fan of being called Rach. And then people that call me Rach, I'm like, I'm not Rach. My name is Rachel.
Yeah. Like I know when I interview somebody, you probably do the same thing there. Say they're a doctor or a professor.
Right.
I always ask them, should I refer to you as Dr. So-and-so or just by your first name or what? And whatever they're comfortable with is, that's what I'm going to do. You have to be respectful of that.
I totally agree. As I run a doctor's office, as you know, I still refer to my doctors as doctor this. And they're like, just call me by my first name. I'm like, no, you earned your degree. I'm calling you doctor this out of respect. you know so over the years you've had the opportunity to interact with a variety of notable figures within the paranormal and metaphysical communities, from George Norrie to Prisha Corey and even the amazing Kreskin. Can you tell
Yes.
us about a particular memorable encounter or conversation that you've had with a guest on your show that left a lasting impression?
Oh, wow. What a question. I wish you had told me that before you would ask me that. So I'd be prepared for it. But maybe it's better this way. Totally unprepared for something like that. Um, yes, you've heard the expression, be careful what you ask for because you may not get it. This is sort of like of what you're saying, but something with that over there. Remember, I was a guest on a show with this big radio station there, and yes, and I went on that one, doing intuitive readings, and I was asked, "Are you picking up anything? Going on around here?" And I says, "Yeah, I see a lot of turmoil around here." And I see everything going upset, and everybody who's here is not going to be here another month from now. Everything is going to be changing, whole different format. And then I see a bunch of panic going on and, going on in the place. And how do you know? Who told you? What was that? The thing is, they were going to be laying off the people over there, starting a whole new format on the show. So that I found to be very interesting with something like that. But guess that I found to be very interesting, would stand out are those, especially when it comes to the paranormal and the UFO field, people who have the doctors or the professors in universities, et cetera, with that there, who will come out and speak the truth as they know it. So I think they're very, very brave about that, or people in healing like you. And I give you credit for it because you go above and beyond what you've learned university. You also go with the intuitive, sixth sense, all of that. I mean, because to me, all aspects of healing are extremely important.
Mm.
So the guests that I found interesting are those who really put themselves on the line uh, with that, speak from their heart, and to heck with the consequences.
What do you think about the recent public forums of them actually, the US government acknowledging that UFOs are real?
I think that it's great. And in Canada, they've been talking openly about it for quite some years. The thing is, it's something they can't dismiss anymore
Right.
and make up stories with people. It's not there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and who are we to say? I mean, because somebody grew up, say, in the Midwest, they never saw an ocean. I never saw an ocean. It's not there. I've never seen one. Doesn't mean there's not an ocean. Of course, there's an ocean. The same thing with you. I've spoken to enough people who have been taken, have been abducted by them, experienced two different things, and they're always so similar
Mm-hmm.
with that. I find that whole thing there, and to think that we're alone, we're the only ones. That's pretty snobby on our part. We're the only ones. I mean, just look at the universe, the vast galaxies, the solar systems. Common sense, logic should tell you we are not alone, and we are not alone.
I totally agree with that point. We are way too small to think that we're the only ones. There is no way. There's no way. There's no way. So it's fascinating how your intuitive abilities became an integral part of your interactions with people in the entertainment industry. Can you elaborate on maybe some of your intuitive insights playing a role in guiding not only your career, but also your interactions with individuals, maybe that are seeking advice and guidance in both professional and personal lives?
Okay, let's go with the show business
Show
one. Okay.
business.
Uh, on this, and I'm sure you found this yourself too, that you could give somebody advice, but they don't necessarily take it, and it's frustrating. Now we're going back a lot of years ago, an awful lot of years ago. You probably read in the history books about there was a groundbreaking show called Air, which was big rock show
Huh.
with that there, and the writers of it later on wrote another show called Rainbow. Now, and some others, and going for that, and they wrote different things along there. At any rate, I knew somebody from the show over there, and one young lady who was up and coming. She's since done very well, a lot of Woody Allen movies. I don't know if you can even mention Woody Allen anymore, but he did do very good with his writing and things like that. She was up for 2 Broadway shows. Okay, one was by the writers of Air, which was a
Mm-hmm.
big hit. The other was from relatively unknown. And remember, I didn't hear the scores or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
All my intuitive says, go with this other one. This girl, young lady, spoke to her roommate there, and the roommate says that I'm crazy. I don't know what I'm talking about. You don't go. You go with the Rainbow. Bottom line, Rainbow closed in about 6 weeks. The one that she would have had a starring role with uh, over there was Grease, which turned out to be one of the longest running shows in Broadway history until others came along. So yeah, that's one, and that's when I realized, and then I am sure, Rachel, it's happened with you too. You feel something strongly, you give the people advice, you tell them, they do what they want to do, and maybe that's, as we said before,
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's how it should have been.
Yeah.
But you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Same thing with the advice that you give somebody. Maybe they have to go through certain things in their life and learn from themselves. But I'm sure you will agree, it's quite frustrating when you see something clearly. And when you get feedback from somebody like this young lady saw her, and
Yeah.
right away I had this thing, her being slapped and a tooth coming out of her mouth. I said, and I mentioned the whole incident, described the person as, yeah, oh, that was her boyfriend. This is, why don't you leave him? Well, if he didn't love me, he wouldn't do that. She was brought up being abused and slapped. And so she associated being hit, being abused with love. And I try to tell her, you go, wait, not at all. So, and it also makes you think sometimes about people, they don't realize it, the effect words, the expression, sticks and stones may break your bones,
Mm.
words will never harm you. Words do indeed harm you. And in fact, on a personal level, comes back to me now a lot of years. I don't know why. I'm going to tell it to you. You could edit it out if you so choose. When I was younger, in school, or when I was a kid, I don't know if they do it anymore. You always once a week there's an assembly and you sing the
Mm.
national anthem. And I thought I had a great voice, and obviously I didn't, because the teacher went up to me and says, "Mouth it." You know what it's like to tell a little kid, "Mouth the national anthem." From that then I didn't even sing in the shower when it was like group singing. I would mouth it without talking. So words do, I know we're digressing a bit, but maybe we're
No, no,
not.
this is
Words,
important.
words do mean something.
I mean, because the thing is that all of our experiences, and you know this, is that it gets embedded into our cellular tissue, and then those, what happens to us, those become our beliefs. That becomes our core beliefs, you know. And I
Yes.
had a similar experience to you, and I wanted to be a comedian when I was young. I thought I was really funny, and I thought I was. And my stepmom at the time, she's like, "Don't quit your day job." She's like, "You're not funny," and it
Mm.
sticks with you for many. And I'm still bringing it up, you know. And it's like those. And I believed at that moment, okay, well, I need to do something else, you know. And it's sad, the words that we say and how we say it, especially to youth, it can really
Yes.
shape and form how their life goes and what the trajectory is. And it can be sad. So again, I want to say that, you know, your thoughts create your reality. And when people impart negativity and words on you, that gets layered onto you. And it's sad.
Agree.
Yeah, it's sad. Now that we've made this very heavy, but that's okay. So I do want to shift gears just a little bit. So
Sure.
the concept of the Niagara Falls Traveling Museum and paranormal is intriguing. Could you share some of the rare and unusual paranormal artifacts that were housed in the museum?
Sure. Absolutely. Um, what I find fascinating, a lot of people, let's go with Ouija boards right now, okay?
Oh
You
gosh,
say Ouija board to most people, and they go like this. They say, "No, no, no, it's
please tell
evil."
me more.
I'm going to tell you more. However, you got to remember, just like wine or liquor, a little kid shouldn't have that. So
Yeah.
little kids should be playing with the Ouija board. The thing is, if you read into the history of the Ouija board, it started the woman, the husband of the woman who was created for, she was a medium, and for whatever the reason was, she was much attracted to French and German spirits from the spirit
Mm,
world. So you have the Ouija, we and je. You got the French and you've got the German, the
yeah.
Deutsch. So the Ouija board was just another tool like automatic writing.
Right.
It wasn't there, but then you had the movies coming out with scaring people with the Ouija board on that, and then people we really got a very bad rap. But it was,
My dog
oh,
is
there
even
we
getting
go.
scared by
We just
it.
got confirmation. We just got confirmation. Got confirmation over there. Thank you for that going on there. Yes, all different types of tools of um, getting to the other side, like I have from about late 1890s,
Hmm.
a spirit board of contacting spirits that I did with some you. I think you would love that one over there.
That sounds
And
really
I've done it with
cool.
some people, and it goes. So you name it, I have it. Again, when it comes to the Ouija board, it was an art. I think I have probably one of the world's largest collections of them. And if you read history in the early 1900s, 1920s, 30s over there, people were doing the Ouija board, but no one was contacting the devil or getting possessed. It took Hollywood to do that. I don't hear you.
Oops, sorry. That is very, oh, no. Yes, there I am. Am I muted? Can
I
you hear
can
me
hear
now?
you now.
Thank you. So, one, I would like to say thank you to my dog for giving confirmation about the Ouija board. And
Yes.
two, you're right. It is, and with you being in the entertainment industry and how you said before that, you know, people's perceptions of celebrities and the public may not be how they really are. And then you kind of bring up a valuable point about this Ouija board. I mean, the way that you're describing it makes it sound like this is something that I can use. It's like automatic writing. I mean, I have like an enchanted spell board right now that my laptop is sitting on, you know, that it's protected and I love to use it. But from watching movies, Ouija boards, I've been like, ooh. But then, I mean, you and I have both been in the paranormal field for a long time and know how to protect ourselves and how to open up a circle and a safe space. And we could use it safely.
Exactly, correct. Like if somebody's going with the Ouija board or anything else like that, yeah, you say a prayer meditation, you only want to get good vibes, good spirits,
Yeah.
etc. You are absolutely correct. Protection is important. More whether you're in a car, put the band over you to protect yourself. Exactly. If you
So,
don't, there could be a problem.
do you have any other paranormal artifacts that are in the museum that you can share about?
Okay. Some that were used by occultists like hundreds of years ago, and there's one that I have, in fact, that is so heavy I had to take it away because people were touching it and they were starting to shake
Yeah.
when they were going with that. That I removed for sure because as you know, I mean, if you in mediumship, things have energy to
Yeah,
them. It
absolutely.
could be positive, it could be negative energy too. Oh yes, once again involved. Excellent.
I think my dog is like not liking this topic.
Yay, great. I made a friend. I'm glad about that.
Okay. We're gonna move on from the artifacts.
Okay, sure.
So I really love crystal skulls, and your involvement with crystal skulls and healing circles sounds truly transformational. Can you delve into the significance of crystal skulls in your spiritual journey and the healing circles you've conducted?
Absolutely, my pleasure to do that. And in fact, the way I acquired it was because I am or was, I guess I still am, call a leg on hands healer, a healing energies there. And when I had my massive heart attack and passed over to the other side, one of my concerns was I'm not going to be able to heal people again. And so through dream, through spirit guiding me to that, I was guided to these skulls. And you want to believe something or care it, but you need proof, you need evidence for that. So before even bringing it out to the general public, since I have a lot of people, the psychic, intuitive mediums there, having them over there and getting enough testimonials. But there's something about crystal, its ancients, etc. And there's a power to it. There's an energy to it, and I think anybody who has a crystal, anybody who has a crystal skull, they make it their own. There is something with that, and if you think about Stonehenge and other places there's always givens over water. They're over water. There's crystals over there. There are certain elements with that, and I know with the crystal skull, well, with the one that I have, and I take to the people and go that the healing circles work. And I always ask people, if you have a crystal skull or a crystal of any kind, bring it with you. The more you have, the better. Just like one person singing is great. You have a whole choir, a
Mm.
chorus, so much better. It's bigger. That's what it's going to be. So with the crystals, and I find also what's very important, and if somebody has a crystal and they're anything like that, intent is very important. Intent. And don't forget, there's negative and there's positive. I never do anything negative
Mm.
whatsoever. It's got to be positive. And when the healing, different people work in healing in different ways. I know when I do healings, a lot of people, want to send healing energy into people. What I try to do first is remove whatever negative energy is in them, get it out first, and then I do it. I mean, other people work in different ways. You may work in a different way. There's no right or wrong. If it works for you, that's what counts.
Now, with the crystal skulls, like, have you ever read, or I'm sure you already know this about like with Atlantis and how they use crystal skulls for healing in Atlantis?
Yes. Yes, they did. Yeah. Like I said, there's nothing new under the sun.
No, no, I just think it's fascinating.
Yes. Then there is that common denominator. And also, if you read about different cultures all over the world, there is something about crystal that clear quartz crystal
Mm.
I mean, all crystals have their own properties, but the clear quartz crystal is the one that brings things in. Oh, I thought you were just going to show a crystal.
I am.
Oh, okay.
As we know, Stan is very intuitive, guys. So I just got this Vogel quartz
Oh,
and I
wow. They're
love it.
beautiful.
So
Yes.
yes. So yes, we are speaking a crystal language together. I love crystals.
Oh,
I'm
absolutely. And we're finding out that different crystals work for different things. And you're very skilled in that, of course. And you go that and you have found that. And the whys and wherefores, why. I mean, look, this vegetable, is good in potassium. This is vitamin C. That's it. Things of nature, different ones have different things. So why not crystals, which is of nature? Why
absolutely.
don't they have something that's going to be good for different purposes?
Absolutely. What I love about crystals, and I know that you already know this, is that they bring up our vibration to where it needs to be. Like this is a creedite, and it's kind of,
Oh, beautiful.
it's a funky looking crystal, but this actually helps with past lives. And that's why I love working with it when I do Akashic Records readings and I'm doing a past life, I'll hold it because it helps me connect more with my client, which I just think it's just I have a whole I have so many crystals. Let
Uh,
me ask you, what is your, you maybe not have a favorite, but what is one of maybe your crystals that you really enjoy using?
well, of course, I'm prejudiced because of the healing sessions with the clear quartz crystals, but the amethyst I
Oh,
find very, very lovely crystal skull when you want to feel spiritual, etc. Oh, and now we had five.
Stan, I have to say, I don't think I've ever had so many extra noises in an interview. So I think by you being the paranormal yacker is bringing the paranormal into this room.
And you'd make a very good stand-up comedian. You
Oh,
would.
you're so sweet. I love it. I have a couple more questions.
Sure, my pleasure.
So I know that you've had hundreds and thousands of paranormal experiences. Is there any, maybe some that you might be able to share? Like, I experienced this or I experienced that and what it
Yes,
meant
I
to you.
can.
Oh, perfect.
My pleasure. I will give you one or two. If you like one, I'll give you two. If we don't have enough time, that'll be another time.
Okay.
Okay. Again, having passed over to the other side, wanting
Yes.
to validate, I know there is indeed another side. I want to validate that there is there. And one of the tools that I have found was aura photography.
Mm,
You know what aura photography
mhm.
is, correct? You're
Yes.
picking up the electromagnetic energy field. And for whatever reason, the one that I had, I don't know if it's a catalyst for picking up things. Okay, so we're at this show because I did it at psychic fairs, paranormal fairs,
Mm,
and a lot of wellness shows. So this man, woman, and young lady around 10 years old come and they all want to have their oral photo taken. Okay. First one is the young lady. Take a photo and it comes out, and that may be or could be standing behind her with his hands on the shoulders is this man. You see him perfectly, his clothing, etc. Now, I'm not going to take a little young 19-year-old lady. No, it's the reason why there's a ghost around you. No, I said, I'm sorry, young lady, it didn't come out. We'll have to redo it. While it's being redone, I go over to the mother, who I thought was the father, and I said, would there be a reason why somebody from the other side would come and be by your daughter?
yeah.
And of course, I said, I don't know. I showed the photo. She almost fainted. The man with her was her boyfriend. They would get married a year or so later. The man in the photograph was the biological father of that little girl who died of a massive heart attack when she was 1 year old. Now,
Wow.
how do you explain something like that? No, people know that trickery. That is confirmation of that. So that I was very, very impressed with. Oh, there's if we got
Story
time
number
for
two.
one more.
Yes.
Okay, I'll give you one more. Okay. Think you'd like it because it interconnects to your spiritual
Yeah.
show, how you're going on with this. Now, you've always heard stories, everybody does, about there's a special bond, a special connection with a mother and a child.
Hmm.
You hear about that all the time. Okay, so this is a young lady who had come to show a big wellness show we were doing in Toronto every year to have her aura photo taken. And she was one of those people who really didn't change. She was always in the same ballpark. Then she becomes pregnant, take a photo. It's a totally different color. Okay. Then totally different color.
Hmm.
Then she gives birth, goes back to her other color. So it was in my mind. And when I'm telling you now, you're not going to read it in any book. No one has ever written about it or anything. It only came to my mind speaking to you now. So I said, well, what is it going to be like if we could take the little girls or a
Yeah.
photo? So obviously we had to wait a few years so she could put her fingers on the sensor, etc. So a few years go by. She brings the little girl over to the show there. We take a photo. That little girl's aura was exactly the same as her mother when she was pregnant with her. So when they, again, I don't understand the whys and wherefores because you can't read up on it. It's not written in any
Yeah.
book. But this is a fact what was there. So we're talking about the spiritual world, things that are connected and interconnected to each other. We may not fully understand the whys and the wherefores, but it's there. I mean, how do you explain it? That somebody who is one color with her aura gets pregnant, she becomes another color, gives birth back to her other color, and her daughter turns out to be the same aura when she was pregnant. So how do you analyze that? I don't know, but something special is definitely going on.
That is definitely something very special going on. It's for me, I'm like, oh, is it the soul of the child that's within the photograph? Like that's amazing. I love that so much. Now, if anyone is interested in learning more about you or watching your amazing shows, what is the best place to reach you?
Okay, if they go to paranormalyacker.com, they'll be able to view all of my interviews, including the wonderful one I did with you. You'll get reviews. You didn't ask her, but I'm telling you, people are fascinated with the Akashic records and everything that you were involved
Thank
with.
you.
And if they go on my website, paranormalyacker.com, and press the subscribe button, hopefully they do.
Yeah.
With it, it's free. There's no charge for that. They'll be assured every week of getting another interview with another good,
Oh,
outstanding
nice.
guest, such as you, and tap into past ones.
I love that. Now, do you still do intuitive readings or is that something you put by the wayside because you're focusing on your show?
I'm focusing on my show. I am happy that there are a few. I don't solicit or do
Yeah.
anything like that, but there are a few people in show business who still rely on me on their parts and stuff like that. And they know that I zip my lips. I don't need my 10 minutes of fame to say, I did this one and that one. And I've always respected their privacy and I still do. So right now my focus is on general public on my show,
Nice.
The Paranormal Yacker, and getting great guests like you.
I want to say one thing though about you being a reader, and I know that it's not you. You have a very limited select amount of clients. Is that it is so important to keep the client's confidence. As a reader, and I respect you so much for doing that because a lot of people. I mean, it's I feel like as being a reader, and I'm sure you feel the same way, people are coming to us in their most vulnerable spots. They've experienced a traumatizing event, they are going through something traumatic, like just even being asked, should I do this show or this show? That's very personal. And I respect you so much for keeping that private. Because you're right.
Absolutely, because you talk about doctor, patient,
Confidentiality.
account for that. Yeah, it's the same thing with lawyer and the
Yeah.
client, etc. I agree with you, and regretfully, some people in the psychic world do not do that, and they should remember, not nice.
Yeah, it's not nice. And there's consent, we should be able to trust the people that we go to for sure. I do
Agreed.
have one more question for
Sure.
somebody that maybe is experiencing paranormal activities or anything like that around them and is maybe unsure as to what's going on. Is there any piece of advice you can give to them?
That's a good question. My email is stanmallow@gmail.com.
Email you?
I'm stanmallow@gmail.com. And if they do, I try to help people or guide them if I don't know that. But I think it's very good that people do share things with other people and realize it's the same thing like in the UFO world, that they are not alone. You are not
Yeah.
alone.
Well, Stan, I want to thank you so, so much for coming on the Spiritual Spotlight series. I recommend everyone going to Stan's YouTube channel, checking out the Paranormal Yacker. He's got so many videos, so many amazing guests. Like, it's phenomenal. Stan, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
I thank you for being invited. I very much enjoyed it. Thank you.